Hello everyone, I'm James from Bay Area Family Canine Training. Thank you for joining us today. In our last video, we revealed to you one of our secrets. What an awesome checklist that was, right? That was our one and only, that was unique to us, something we created. In this video, we're going to talk about activities and bonding things that you can do with your dogs, and some of the not so recommended things. So, one of the things, recommended activities, I kind of just listed a few things out here. One of the number one things is I put exercise. Exercise is a big thing, not only with us, but also for your dog. So exercise is a big thing. And that's one of the reasons why, believe it or not, a lot of people get dogs, is so that the dogs will help them to exercise. Now people will take walks and things of that sort. And that's a proven fact. That actually dogs will actually help you live longer and things like that, because that's what they do. They make us get up and get our blood flowing. So one of the cool things you can do with your dog is you can go walking on trails. You can do some off-leash stuff. Not every place is off-leash, and I'd highly advise you to figure out what the leash laws are in your area. Sometimes the consequences can be pretty stiff for walking your dog off-leash. And the responsible thing to do is to follow the law, and also not to let your dog off-leash if you don't have any control of your dog. A dog is still an animal, and you don't know, their behavior is unpredictable to a degree. So it's important that you have control of your dog at all times, and when the law instructs you to have your dog on a leash. That being said, in the off-leash areas, they're super fun. Letting your dog run around and be a dog with other dogs and socialize and things like that. There's a few places that we have out here. There's a place in what we call Niles. I think it's called the 8th Street Park. They have an off-leash area for dogs where you can walk your dog over to, and then you just let them run by the creek side, and it's pretty cool. And your dog can go, and they smell other dogs and stuff like that. They can actually go swimming over there, which is also another wonderful exercise activity for your dog. So as we know, just like for humans, right? So it's very low impact and gets uses all your muscles. Another place over here is in Richmond. It's called Point Isabel. That's a place where you can also let your dog off leash and run around and be a dog. Those places are awesome. At Point Richmond, you can also, or Point Isabel, I'm sorry, you can also let your dog swim as well. One of the other things that you'll have to do is you'll probably have to load your dog in a car and possibly take them to one of the off-leash areas. So something that's a very good idea is to teach your dog as soon as possible. We do it with puppies, is we teach them to go potty on command, right? So now, before I load my dog up in the car, whether it be in a crate or if he's just gonna ride free, we tell him go potty, right? Tell the dog go potty, make him relieve himself, and now I can be assured that my dog's gonna make it for the next 30 minutes till I get to my destination. So, very good idea to teach your dog to go potty. Some dogs have a lot of anxiety in the car. This is something that, you know, some dogs it's fixable, some dogs it's not. So you want to, some dogs you might want to, if you're a dog that has a lot, if you have a dog that has a lot of anxiety, you'll want to crate them instead of letting them kind of sit free in the car, unless you want to get kind of, if your dog slobbers or swings in the car and stuff like that. All that, it's anxiety. So some dogs have it, some dogs don't. Another thing that you can do with your dogs that's very cool, puppy socials. If you have a puppy, now this one, again, all these things I use with common sense and discretion. So, you know, if you're going to a puppy social, I don't know if your puppy's got all their shots. There's a lot of factors that go into this, but I want to go to a place where it's clean, a place where I made sure that there's not been any diseases and stuff like that, dogs with parvo and all that kind of stuff there. So we take, you know, we take very stringent measures to make sure that no dogs have had diseases, parvo, or anything like that. And if any dog does defecate or something like that, we make sure it's cleaned up properly and immediately. Socializing your dog, be it an older dog or be it a puppy, kind of two different things. Some dogs, a lot of times people get rescue dogs and they don't know the dog's history. So the dog appears to be antisocial or aggressive towards other dogs, things of that nature. Aggression is a term that's used very loosely in our industry, and I'm not really a big fan of that. So, if your dog shows his teeth or growls or something like that, right away they're deemed aggressive. So I go a little bit deeper into that. I want to see where the aggression is coming from. Is it coming from fear? Is it coming from is it coming from frustration? Things of that sort. So I look into it a little bit deeper than that to figure that out. Understand, and we talked about in a past video about how dogs socialize. See, and dogs are pack animals. So within their pack, dogs are used to socializing, right? They go around and smell each other's butt, and they know who's who, and it's cool, it's fun, and that's how they know each other's names and things of that sort. Well, what's not natural is a dog that's not in their pack, for them to let another dog that's not in their pack smell them. Well, that's not normal, right? That's not normal behavior to them, and instinctively, that's why a dog doesn't want to do that. That's a very vulnerable position for the dog to turn around and give you his butt and say, okay, here it is, I don't know you, but go ahead and, do what you will with me. So, not normal. So that being said, if your dog knows how to socialize, and he's already gotten past that, then that's great, right? If not, then you got some training to do with your dog. We recommend, getting into an obedience class, with the right obedience class, so that they can teach you how to socialize your dog, and to get your dog being able to trust you, to know that this dog is not going to beat them up if somebody comes around with the back of them. So that being said, having some partners for your dog where they can go out and run together, on a regular basis is awesome. Where they can go out and be a dog. So doggy socials are great. A lot of stores, you can take your dogs into stores nowadays. You can go into Home Depot with your dogs and different stores of that sort. So, we're dog people, and that's why you're watching this. So please have some respect. Make sure your dog potties outside of the store. And if he does potty in the store, make sure you clean it up. Don't wait for somebody else or the store people to clean it up. And if you see somebody with a dog, if you're a dog person and their dog makes a mess, you know what? Say something to that person. Say, hey, clean up your mess. Don't leave it for somebody else to do. So all those things, so that we can go on. There's a lot of restaurants where they have outside eating areas where you can bring your dog to. If you have your dog lay down and stay there. Again, have some common sense. If your dog's growling and snarling at people, then maybe, you want to train your dog, or don't bring him there, right? Because now you're ruining it for everybody else. So have some doggy sense and good stuff. Another thing that you can do with your dog is do therapy dog work. If your dog is trained, and we've trained a number of therapy dogs, or got them to that level to where they can go be certified for therapy dogs. And those people love it. They love the reading programs. I have another lady who does Alzheimer's, goes into the Alzheimer's homes, and things of that sort. So I have one of our other dogs is a dog day Bordeaux, which is a French Mastiff, and she takes her dog to the airport. And helps kids that are getting on airplanes, helps people with anxiety and stuff like that, where they can pet the dog and kind of forget about the plane ride a little bit. Those are great things that you can do with your dog. For the not so recommended, and this is all, this is my opinion. This is not anything that you need to, this is not set in stone. What's good for me may not be good for you, and what's good for you may not be good for me. One of the things, I don't recommend dog parks, right? I'm not a big dog park fan. I think there's a lot of other things that I can do with my dog besides go to the dog park. In my opinion, dog park is designed to be a place that you can go see, go hang out with your dog, and your dog can be social. But it kind of, what happens is, in my opinion, what I see a lot of is there's a lot of people that don't have control of their dogs. I've literally seen people drop their dog off and walk outside the gate and go in the car and talk on the phone or do whatever. That's not something that I would recommend. You need to have control of your dog, right? And you need to make sure your dog's not jumping on other dogs, and for sure not biting other dogs and things of that sort. Sometimes dogs can be pests. They can be just constantly nipping at another dog or jumping on them, trying to hump them and stuff like that. And that's not good behavior. That could force a dog or to bring out in a dog, you know, something that, you know, make the dog act like a dog. Maybe he's not normally aggressive, but this dog has now made him aggressive because he keeps humping him and he doesn't like it. So he tells him the only way a dog knows how, by, you know, either going after him or whatever with his teeth, and letting him know, hey, I don't want you to hump me. And that may start a fight or something like that. So what I do, what I used to do is I used to go to the dog park, and, you know, anytime there was some sign of a fight or growling or something, I would call my dog. My recall is always spot on. So if I call my dog, hey, come, my dog comes right to me. It doesn't matter what's going on. And if he doesn't, per se, right, I'm not just going to stand there and keep calling my dog. I'm going to go get my dog, right? So I don't want him to have any parts of that. And as soon as I start to go get my dog, you know what he says? You know what? Dad called me. I got to go over there. And so my dog comes to me, right? So that's without a doubt. So a good recall is a great thing to have for your dog. We know that. To keep him out of trouble, to keep him safe, things like that. Signs of trouble, you know, if there's a dog at the dog park and he's humping, you know, all kinds of dogs, you know what, I might leave. You know why? Because we have 2 pit bulls, two labs, and 2 shih tzus. And, you know, my pit bulls are great, you know, but if they're challenged, if the dog keeps humping them or something like that, he's not going to like it. He's not the kind of dog to be humped, you know, and I understand that. I'm not the kind of dog that likes to be humped either, so I'm gonna cause some problems too, right? So, you know, if there's a dog humping him, I'm gonna tell him, hey, come, and I'm gonna bring him out of there. You know, I'm gonna get out of there. If there's a dog that's constantly barking in his face or something like that, my dog is very non-reactive. He'll sit right here if I tell him to, and he'll just look away. He'll look away, and stuff like that. But you know, everybody has a breaking point, and probably every dog does too. So I'm gonna set my dog up for success, and I'm gonna pull him out of that situation rather than leave him. Any type of there's a lot of communicable diseases, not killers per se for the older dogs, but a lot of diseases there. I see a lot of dogs with eye infections, a lot of dogs that get these viruses. Of course, they call it the canine flu, right? You got Bordetella. There's a lot of transferable diseases there, and not killers, so to speak, but definitely kind of you got Giardia, Coccidia. A lot of those diseases are bred at the dog park, and the city. And don't quote me on this, you know, but I mean, I don't see them as, you know, disinfecting the place and this and that on a daily basis, which is what would probably be needed, you know, or hourly basis for most of those places, which is what would be needed in order to stop that from happening. So those things aren't going to happen either. So I'm not a big dog park fan. What happened with me at the dog park was, and I've heard people tell me before too, what happened with me was I used to go to the dog park, and I used to kind of like police, so to speak, the dog park. You know, I'd see some behavior and I'd say, hey, you know, you probably want to get your dog or something like that. And I found myself kind of getting into trouble. You know, some people didn't want to hear what I had to say, and that's fine. So anyway, I'm there one day with a couple of my dogs, Pits, and a gentleman comes in, he brings his dog, opens the gate, puts his dog down, and the dog runs in, and right away he starts going after other dogs, right? So finally he goes after this one dog, and he bites him. I think it was a Rottweiler. He bit the Rottweiler. And so they got into a little scrap, you know, this and that. So they broke it up. And then immediately after that, this dog comes right after my pit bull, right? And he grabbed him right here. And the dog was a pit too. And he grabbed him right on his shoulder. And my dog was there. And I said, hey, you better get your dog, you know? So I break the dogs apart, and I took his dog and I put him outside of the dog park. And so, you know, tempers were a little high, and so I asked the guy, I said, after everything cooled down, I said, hey, what's going on? Why are you bringing your dog here and it's going after other dogs and biting people? Well, the kid told me that he just got the dog and he wanted to bring the dog to the dog park to see what the dog would do. And I was just mortified by this, right? And it was after that I never went back to the dog parks. And this is a situation where, it may have been an isolated incident and it may never have happened again, but I chose, me personally, not to take that chance with my dog. I love my dogs. Dogs are part of my family. I'm sure yours is part of your family too. And I don't want to see anything happen to them. I don't want to put them in harm's way. So I chose not to. And that's my experience from a dog park. Now, some of our clients have even, unknowingly, are very, very ignorant to the fact that, they've gotten rescue dogs or this and that, and they went to the dog parks, and kind of not knowing what their dog would do. And I just don't think that's fair to the other people and their dogs. So I think it's important that you train your dog and make sure that your dog is fit to be at the dog park. And I think that that's something that those dog parks should look at. I always hear about fights there and stuff like that. Hey, it is what it is. So it's, you enter at your own risk, and there's a big sign that says that. Next thing is, I would never bring a dog in heat to the dog park. Sometimes dogs in heat, you just can't tell just because of the blood. There's a smell. Heat cycle can be 21 days or so. So there's only 7 to 10 days of that is bleeding. So there's a lot of other days that there's no bleeding, and so dogs can actually smell it. They'll let you know before. Those dogs can cause fights, right? So things like that will cause a fight. So I wouldn't bring a dog in heat to the dog park. Another thing is I want to dispel a myth about dogs in heat. A couple of things. A lot of people think that it's like a human that has their period, and that is not true. Dogs in heat, it's not a flow of blood that comes from them. So don't worry, it's not like you need, it's not like a river, okay? All it is some drops, right? It might, some very small drops. So you might want to, so a lot of people think, oh my gosh, I don't want to deal with this, if you have carpet and stuff like that, or where your dog is, or your dog can't stay in their crate or something like that, then yeah, you want to check into that. But it's only drops, I promise you. It is not a flow of liquid, right? It's a drop, right? It's a few drops, maybe in the daytime or something. Maybe like 10 drops, who knows? But it's not a flow of liquid. So I just want to dispel that truth. I'm also holding a paper here, and it's a paper written by Laura J. Sandborn. I believe it's on the internet. You can look her name up, Laura J. Sanborn. It's dated May 14, 2007. A client gave me this. This is a wonderful read. It talks about the long-term health risks and benefits associated with spay and neuter in dogs. This paper is so informative. This paper is what, right? There's a lot of people that will tell you a lot of things that's based on their opinions, right? I have an opinion, just like a veterinarian has an opinion, right? And now, as far as medically, right, I'm sure the veterinarian's opinion, it will be upheld a lot more than my opinion. But this paper, this is facts. This is statistical facts. This is not based on anybody's opinion. So what this talks about is that there are some major risks in long-term health risks associated with fixing your dog before certain ages. It is different for males and females. It shows you those risks. So this is a great read. If you guys want it or something like that, you guys can contact me. This is awesome. So please, the best thing you can ever do is make an educated decision on something like that. This is lifelong for your dog, and I think it's important not just to be swayed by what somebody tells you based on their opinion. It's more important to base your decision like that based on facts. For sure, what we know, you are not going to change the behavior of your dog by fixing them, right? Be it male or female. The way you are going to change their behavior is to train your dog, right? A lot of people think that, it's kind of like losing weight, right? Oh yeah, you're just going to stand on this machine and this belt's just going to wiggle your butt and you're going to lose weight. No, it doesn't happen like that. Sorry. You're not going to get the easy way out, right? You're not going to be able to take 10 pills and eat whatever you want all day, every day, and lose weight or not gain weight, right? It's not going to happen. And that's the same way. You're not going to get the easy way out. If your dog is, you're not going to fix your dog from biting things or taking off or something like that because you fix them. It's not going to happen. There are a lot of other things that go along with that. So I highly advise. I don't like to push my opinion on people either. I like people to make their own educated decisions. So fixing your dog, you want to read that. So those are just some of the things that we talk about life bonding things. There's so much more. Dogs bring us so much joy. It's a proven fact that dogs help you to live longer. They lower the stress, things like that. And we talked about the difference between a dog that is a stress reliever or a stressor, right? Two different dogs, right? The only difference between the two is one is trained and one is not, right? So the stress reliever is trained. That's the dog like Charlie or any of our other dogs where you can walk around, you can tell him to sit down, do whatever you want to do. He obeys you, he stays there, he doesn't go after other dogs, and he loves to have a good time, he loves to hang out, or you have the stressor, the dog that's not trained, and this dog is pulling on the leash, jumping up in your face, biting people, taking off, you can't trust him, you're worried about things like that. So two different dogs, right? The stress reliever dog you can take to the Point Isabel, you can take him to the trails off leash. You don't have to worry about him taking off on you. You can call him, he stays by your side. You can rub his ears and it feels good. You can pet his coat and he just loves you, right? You enjoy that dog. Those are, that's something that's life bonding. This is the dog that, your kids grow up with. That's the dog that your kids grow up with and they say, oh man, we used to have the best dog in the world. He was always such a good guy. We went everywhere. We even took him to the store and, we used to eat at the restaurants outside with him, So those are the things that you can do with that kind of a dog. So again, I don't know what we're going to talk about in our next video, so I apologize for that, but I'm sure there'll be another one. We want you to have a good time with your dog, and we want you to share the same bond. I want you to share the same bond that I had with my dogs. I always talk about my dog King that I grew up with in Chicago that saved my life. And if it wasn't for that dog, it was in the middle of winter. I was in 2nd grade and I used to wear my key around my neck and I lost it. I came home and snow was piling up and I laid down on the back porch and the dog laid down on top of me. When my dad got home, he found the dog on top of me, and if it wasn't for that dog, I would not be here today. I fully believe that. And so, those are the kind of things that, I know. Those are the kind of things that I know you can have with your dog. It's that thing, So, we want your feedback. So sign up to our newsletter. Give us some ideas on some of the questions that you may have or something like that, whether it be a training or whatever else about your dogs. So sign up to our newsletter, opt in, and we'll give us some information. Join our club here, the Club of Dogs, and let us know what we can do, what we can talk about for you. I want to thank you for joining us today. And in our next video, you'll wait and see what it is. Maybe it's something that you wanted to talk about. Thank you. Have a good day. I'm James Taylor from Bay Area Family Canine Training. Thank you.